We make way for Daniel Popper. He covers the Chargers for The Athletic, senior writer for The Athletic. Let's, I guess, build up to what happened over the weekend there, Daniel. Brandon Staley's place here, rumors, Sean Payton, all of that. How much of that was on the front burner, do you think, going into this game?
Yeah, I don't know so much Sean Payton. I think heading into the game, what was really at the forefront was the Mike Williams situation, where Brandon Staley makes the decision to play his starters in that Week 18 game, a meaningless Week 18 game. He does it because he wants to maintain momentum, maintain a rhythm, which is something a lot of coaches have done. Mike Williams suffers a fractured back in that game, and they are missing one of their most important pieces. He says Mike's going to return to practice, doesn't return to practice. He says Mike is going to travel. He doesn't end up traveling, and they miss him in that game. And that was really at the forefront, and a lot of people questioning why he played his starters in that game. But I think the organization was aligned in that decision. So I don't think any of that noise was getting through. I don't think there was ever a consideration for Sean Payton, considering, how much he's going to cost in terms of draft compensation, in terms of the contract itself. But losing Mike Williams, I think that was hovering over the organization more than anything else heading into this game.
What were you thinking at halftime?
I'll tell you what, I left to go grab a soda, and I walked past Eugene Fournette of the Florida Times-Union, and I told him this game is going to be close. That's what I said, because I felt it, and I've covered this team for 4 seasons. And you just know, after that fumble, towards the end of the half, they punted away. The Jaguars score a touchdown. You can just feel it. And you just know with this organization, it's what I wrote about after the game. You just know that inevitably it's going to happen. And you felt the crowd just get back into it a little bit, just enough, right, to make you feel like, okay, they've got a chance. And that place was loud and it was rocking, and you felt just enough of an energy there at the end of the half where I felt like, hey, I knew it was going to be close. It was inevitable.
Why is it when we look at the Falcons melting down to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl 28-3, it's on Matt Ryan, not Kyle Shanahan. But what happened against the Chargers against Jacksonville is not on Justin Herbert. It's going to be on Brandon Staley.
Well, I think that depends on how you frame it. The way I look at it, everyone's at fault. Justin Herbert missed a throw to Keenan Allen in the first half. He was wide open in the end zone. If they score that touchdown, they go up 31-0, and the game's probably over. Instead, they kick a field goal, and it's 27-0. He missed a screen pass throw. He had 3 passes batted at the line. He missed a touchdown pass to Keenan Allen that went off a player's helmet inside the 5-yard line. So I put it on everybody. They couldn't run the ball. Justin Herbert didn't play well enough in the second half. The defense completely melted down. Like when you blow a 27-0 lead, you can't just pin it on one person. I know in the media, we love to find one reason for why things go wrong, but that's just not the case, particularly in football. It's always a lot of different things. And in this case, it was everybody.
Brandon Staley have an exit interview this week as far as exit of the season? Is that coming up?
Yeah. They'll have discussions here, yesterday, today. They'll have conversations, over the next couple of days. As an organization to figure out what the best way to move forward is. Because like in reality, when you blow a lead like that, even though you made the playoffs for the first time since 2018, even though you're improving, something has to change after you have a debacle like that.
But let's factor in ownership here.
Mm-hmm.
How different are they from other ownerships around the NFL in making a move like this or not making a move?
Yeah, they tend to stick with coaches longer than most owners. There are a lot of owners out there who will make snap decisions, who will have knee-jerk reactions, especially after something like this, who will fire Frank Reich and name Jeff Saturday head coach, a guy who's, never been on a sideline as a head coach in his career. There are owners out there who will do that. I don't think the Spanoses are those type of owners. They like to see things through. They like to give their coaches a full opportunity to, in Anthony Lynn's case, turn things around, in Brandon Staley's case, to keep things building. And I think, like in this case, they are building to something. And I know this feels like a huge step back because you blow a 27-0 lead on national television. But talking to these players over the last couple of days, they feel like they are building something here. And they feel like if you move on from Brandon Staley, and especially defensively, you have to start over from step one. Like that is a daunting task for these guys, because they just felt like down the stretch of this season that they had started to really come into their own in this scheme, figure out their roles in this scheme, and start to play defensively the way that they felt like they were capable of. And they don't want to have to do that reset and cultivate those relationships over again.
Joey Bosa's role in all of this. Did you talk to him after the game?
Yeah, I talked to him after the game. He said he's going to have a lot to say at some point, but he doesn't want to get fined any more than he's already been fined. I said, okay. And I went and moved on to somebody else to talk to because you only get so much time in the locker room. Listen, that was the first time I have seen Joey Bosa really react in that manner in my 4 years covering him. And he has a very firm understanding of the rules and how the game should be officiated. And if he is reacting like that, I get a sense that there was something happening over the course of the game where he felt like he wasn't getting calls, whether it's holding, whether it's illegal hands to the face, whatever he felt like should have been called, he didn't. And I felt like the first penalty led to the second penalty because the first penalty felt like he got held. He went and yelled at the referee. He said something to the referee that forced him to throw the flag. They got into a little bit of a spat. And then from that point on, you're not going to get a call. Like you're relying on the referee to make a holding call because it happens on every single play in the NFL. And but then you can't react like that. 2-point conversion, smash your helmet into the ground. You couldn't wait to go another step because as soon as you get in the sideline, it's not a penalty, but you do it on the field, it's a penalty. And that moves the 2-point conversion from 2 yards to 1 yard. And that was a huge difference in the game. And he took responsibility for it yesterday.
Who's the head coach of the Chargers next year?
Brandon Staley. Yeah. I think he's, in my opinion, he's earned another season. I think the organization feels like he's earned another season. He's young and he's inexperienced. And they knew that when they hired him. They knew that he had been coaching in Division III in that point 5 years ago, at this point 6 years ago. There's going to be a learning process for him in terms of how he wants to go about things. And he's going to make mistakes, like being way too optimistic in the public sphere when he's talking about Mike Williams all week. Altering his fourth down decision-making from one season to the next season. But the things that are important, he is very good at. And I think the hardest part about being a head coach in the NFL is developing relationships with players, earning their trust, and cultivating a sustainable culture. And I feel like Brandon Staley has achieved those things. He has improved from his first season to his next season. And I feel like the organization thinks that he's building towards something despite this step back. And I really feel like Brandon Staley is going to be the head coach. Now, the rest of the coaching staff, we'll see. But I feel like Brandon Staley will be the head coach of the Chargers next season.
Daniel, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
That's Daniel Popper, senior writer for The Athletic, covering the Chargers.